What's up, everybody? Evan here for Grips.com, continuing with Project Get Me Stackin. Yeah. My apologies, I don't have a funny t-shirt today. You guys are like, what's going on? I know. Don't worry, I'm not trying to go for some new professional look. I'm still trying to keep it cool. I placed an order for some new t-shirts, but they got lost somewhere along the way. Somewhere in translation. I don't know. Hopefully they'll get here soon, because until then, well, I don't want to recycle anything, so we're going to have to go formal. I hope it doesn't matter to you guys, though, because you tune in for the tips, not the teas. Right? Okay. Anyway, let's get straight to it. Let's go straight to business. Today's question comes from Poland, and it's about multitabling. Hi, Evan. At first, I would like to thank you for the great job you did for poker community and especially newbies like me. Thumbs up for noobs. There are lots of questions in my mind I'm asking myself and you answering them every time I watch your videos on YouTube. I wanted to ask you about the approach with online cash games on several tables for beginners. I started playing online MTT and sit and go poker at the very beginning of this year with some small winners. Now I would like to get experience with cash games and looking for right tips to master my game. I watched a couple of your videos about cash play, but I'm still wondering how many tables I should play to make progress and become a pro in the future. And that's a good question because I never talked about how many tables you should play. I just kind of fired up as many as I was comfortable playing. And that's not going to be the same for everyone. So if you try to do exactly what I do, you might find it difficult at first. Once again, thanks a lot for all the material you prepared for me and anyone on this planet who loves poker game. Take care. Regards. I do not know how to pronounce that name. Oh, he's saying regards in Polish is pozdrawiam. Thanks, Michael. All right. Before I get into the presentation, the first thing I'm going to say, because you asked about how many tables you should play to be a pro, and just take it slow. There's no rush. How many tables you can play doesn't define you as a player. There are some great players out there. Merson, Nanonoko play 24 plus tables. And then there are some other players who have made a lot of money, like Patrick Antonius and Tom Dwan, who I'm pretty sure keep it to 3 and 4. So it's really not about how fast you can pump out hands. It's about how well you can process the information that's out there and make decisions with it. Anyway, you guys are like, we want PowerPoint, we want to see some slides, so okay. We'll do that. So, how many tables should you play? Very good question. There's a lot to say about multitabling. You may have heard about the kids who play 6 tables at a time and think that's insane. In fact, there are Supernova Elite players out there who grind upwards of 24 tables. What the hell? And I've seen some tournament players, a couple of good friends of mine, who play even more. Insane, right? Well, it would appear insane at first, but it's something that can be built up to. See, multitabling isn't something you're just born with the ability to do. It's something that's learned. It's a skill that's acquired. As you learn the good habits, like watching the action, making notes on players, reading hands, these habits and skills become more automatic. Your brain just kind of does those things without thinking, and when you require less brain power to do these things, you have more brain power to do other things. For example, play more tables. So, in terms of training to multitable, the key is to do it slowly so as not to overwhelm yourself and end up with a brain crash. You would want to do sessions where you add an additional table but play for a shorter time than usual, or likewise you can train yourself to play longer hours on the amount of tables you're used to by forcing yourself to just put in that extra 15 minutes of good poker, that 30 minutes of good poker. And then multitabling for a shorter time becomes easier. And ideally, you would alternate these training methods so that eventually you can play a long time over quite a few tables, whatever the amount of tables is that works for you personally. So what is the sweet spot? How many tables should you play to work towards your pro status? In my opinion, when it comes to learning the game and developing the skills, most of that happens when you play fewer tables and really pay attention to everything that goes on. When you're making an effort to do the things that make you a good player rather than just trying to see how quickly you can get aces or kings, which, yes, adding more tables is going to make that happen more frequently. Multitabling allows you to increase your hourly return when you play. Because if you can do one table really well and do two tables almost equally well as you can do one table, well, you can come close to doubling your expectation. Each time you add a table, you will give up some focus on the other tables, thereby decreasing your win rate per table. But the fact that you have a slightly lower win rate across two tables means an overall net gain in hourly win rate. If you had a huge decrease in win rate by adding a second table, you might not get that overall gain by adding another table. At some point, and for everyone it's different, for me it was once I went beyond 8 tables. I just couldn't do it anymore. At some point, the amount of focus you sacrifice and hurt your win rate is not made up for by the additional table you add, and that's when you found your sweet spot. For me, it was for full ring, I could do 12 tables, and for shorthanded play, 8 tables was the sweet spot. And a lot of times I tried to push it, and a lot of times it cost me in a lot of different ways, not just losing money, not just making bad decisions. There are a lot of other ways that you wouldn't even think about where really trying to overdo it and really trying to push yourself too hard can come back to haunt you. And let's talk about the example, just quick math though. So you play one table and you expect to make $10 an hour for that table. Now, when you two table, you're able to make $8 an hour per table. That's your expectation, which is lower than the 10, but since you got two tables, you're making $16 an hour. If you add a third table, your expectation per table is $6 an hour. You're still making more money, $18 instead of $6. But if adding a third table dropped your expectation to $5 an hour, you'd be making $15 instead of $16, and therefore 2 tables would be better for you than 3 because you'd be making more money. It will vary from person to person, and as I said, you can train it so that the decrease in expectation, the decrease in your win rate is smaller for each table you add. But you got to work up to that. At first, like if you threw someone in there who's never played online poker before and you asked them to play 4 tables, not going to happen. Now, how many tables you play, though, as I said earlier, does not define how good you are at the game. And your aspirations to be a great player really shouldn't be focused around how many tables you can physically play. The key is how many can you play and still make great decisions. Here are some signs that you're playing too many tables. First is that you're timing out and you're constantly hearing that beep from Poker Stars, or the full tilt. Another example or sign that you're playing too many tables is you forget what the action was in a hand. You're in a spot, you're on the turn, you're like, oh man, am I the pre-flop raiser here? I don't even know. If you're doing that, you're definitely playing too many tables. If you feel overwhelmed and stressed out while playing, it could be from something else, but there's a very good chance you're just playing too many tables. And if you feel totally drained and exhausted at the end of the session, you might have pushed yourself a little bit too hard and maybe should either play shorter or should play fewer tables. Yes, you should feel tired at the end of a session, but not to the point where all you can think about doing is just crashing. Remember, everyone is different, and what works for someone may not work for you. And being able to play long hours and high volume is the result of constant training and constant effort. It doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen by pushing yourself too hard, too fast. It's something that can be built up to, but you have to ease your way into it. I know for some players, to find their sweet spot, they like to warm up with a smaller amount of tables and not bring up the volume until they really hit the zone. They feel like their decision making's in stride, because some of us need that every day to just warm up to get in the zone. Likewise, when their mind starts to fatigue, sometimes cutting out tables rather than just quitting the session altogether is the best play. You still might have some good decision making ability in you, you just can't do it across 12 tables for the whole session. It's important to know that you have a limited amount of decisions you can make. And tougher decisions dig into this, decision bank you have in your head more than automatic ones do. This is just one of the reasons that grinding can tire you out. When you understand this concept, it helps to understand why playing as many tables as you can physically handle may not be the best idea, and why, to maximize your expectation, the amount of tables you're playing will usually be inversely related to how many hours you can play a session for. Like everything, don't rush it. Focus on paying attention to everything you can, catching those details, and when you find you're making really good decisions, consider adding that second table. It's nothing to be scared about, and if you can't keep up with the action, just ditch that additional table and go back to what you're used to. Eventually, you'll find that sweet spot that works for you. And that, peeps, is my 2 cents on multitabling. And I can tell you from personal experience that when Greggy first moved up here and I watched him play, and he would 24 table on stars, I'm like, man, that looks crazy. I wonder if I could do it. So I tried to push myself. I would try to play 18 tables on stars, stacking them the same way he did. Never worked. Tried pushing my volume on the other sites to getting in 15, 18 tables. And sometimes, I could physically click the buttons. I could get through the session, but I wouldn't expect good results. I would have to run extremely good to make anything happen, because I wasn't making good decisions. I was jumping from a comfort zone of 8 to trying to more than double that, going to 18, and it was just poor decision making on my point. And then it would leave me tired, drained, less motivated to play the next day, and just tougher overall. So it's really key to not rush ahead and not have too high of aspirations, and just to ease your way into it. It's a long process to become really good at developing this skill. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section. How many tables do you play and why? And of course, if you're finding this series helpful, please subscribe to the channel below by clicking that little red button. And finally, if you have any questions for me, please send them on over to evan@grips.com with the subject line "Get Me Stackin." Hopefully I can answer your question and help you get stacking. And that's it. I hope you found the video insightful and informative. Once again, I apologize for the boring polo tee. We'll fix it next time. And that's it. This has been Evan for Grips.com. Video's over. Time to take what you just learned, go out there, and get stacking.